There's the saying that the night is darkest before the dawn, and that certainly applies to the Minnesota Vikings situation right now for this 2023 season. They're 1-4. You look at their schedule, and I challenge you. We are almost a third of the way through the season. We know the identity of this team. I challenge you, looking at the schedule, where do you see this team definitively getting wins? I would say maybe the Raiders. Even looking at the Bears, at one point, it's the Bears. Who cares? They stink. But the Bears, the last two games, they've scored 68 points. This season has gone the opposite for Minnesota, the opposite of expectations coming in. But silver lining, currently, the Vikings hold the fourth pick. If the draft were to happen tomorrow, the Vikings would have the fourth pick in the draft. The last time, I've been following this team for going on 24 years now. The only time that the Vikings selected within the top five was Matt Khalil, fourth overall in the 2012 draft, which, funny enough, Harrison Smith was in that same draft class. Crazy. That man's a legend. The way that this season has gone, the Vikings are on their way to potentially a top five pick. And if you're the Vikings leadership, why stop there? Don't just settle for that. Really lean into, embrace the tank, so to speak. Trade Danielle Hunter for whatever it is that you can get for him. You don't need 10 collaboration meetings to figure this out. This man, because of his reworked contract, has a no tag clause. So it's not like after this season, if you want to keep him on the team, you can have team control, go ahead and tag him, and we'll figure out a contract later. That doesn't exist. He is an unrestricted free agent at the season's end. And this man has demonstrated over the years multiple holdouts. This man is all business, and I respect it. The moment that, even if you want to keep him and say, we'll wait until after the season, the moment that he gets an offer, because with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, he's a very patient person. Maybe I would argue too patient, taking maybe too much time. Danielle Hunter, the moment that he gets an offer that he likes in the open market, this man is as good as gone. He doesn't care about loyalty. He is all business. You have to trade. Keeping him on this team and letting him at 1-4, the way this team looks right now, and letting him walk at season's end, that's the absolute worst thing you can do. Trade this man. The theme has been all off season leading into this year saying, hey, all right, the Vikings, they are too talented to end up with a top five pick for one of these quarterbacks. So you're going to have to trade up, stock up draft picks so that you can trade up. Well, that's not necessary. They are on track to pick up one of these top prospects, which is different from what I'm used to as a Vikings fan talking about the quarterback position. I'm used to, okay, we'll trade for Sam Bradford in an emergency, last second. We'll sign Kirk Cousins in free agency. We'll take a flyer on Brett Favre, a year flyer on him at the end of his career. Teddy Bridgewater was different. He was homegrown. Pre-injury, he wasn't flashy, didn't put up godly stats or great stats by that matter, but the man consistently made winning football plays. No doubt that injury changed the trajectory of his career. And I don't want to hear about Christian Ponder. That was a reach from day one. But this is different here. You've got a chance to get one of these top prospect quarterbacks to give this franchise the fresh start that it needs. So talking about the big three, potentially, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, and Shedeur Sanders. I would be happy with either of those three guys. I think they could all be potentially great at the next level. But as an aside, I love whenever I bring up Shedeur Sanders, almost every time, the instant blowback is he's not declaring for the draft. He's going back to school. Knock it off. Stop talking about this guy. And I'm like, did Shedeur say that? Did he say that himself? Well, Dion, he mentioned this one. Oh, so the answer is no. I'm not saying that he won't go back to school. Certainly there's a chance. There's a chance that Shedeur and Caleb Williams will go back to Colorado and USC in 2024. Certainly there's a chance. But we're not talking about toddlers here. Shedeur can make his own decisions. He's in it until he's not, as far as I'm concerned. But if we're going to take these prospects, fathers' words at face value, which is what we're evidently doing for Shedeur Sanders, then we need to do the same for Caleb Williams, his father, where he said if the situation is not great, whoever has the first overall pick, Caleb would be better off going back to school. Okay. Say that, and it's looking more and more likely that this is what's going to happen. The Chicago Bears, they have 2 opportunities for the first overall pick. It looks like they're going to get it with Carolina's pick. They are a god-awful team. But say the Chicago Bears, they get the first pick overall. Okay, going back to Caleb Williams, his father, if the situation is bad, he might go back to school. The Chicago Bears are looked at as an organization that failed Justin Fields. Oh, why would I go there? This man was a top prospect coming out of Ohio State. Why would I put myself in that same situation only for my career to die? Right? So we're taking the father's words at face value. All right, Caleb Williams, he sees Chicago. They get the first pick. I'm going back to USC for another year. Okay, Shedeur Sanders said that Shedeur Sanders is going to go back to school next year at Colorado because he doesn't want to be the number 2 to Caleb Williams. Well, if Caleb goes back to school and waits to declare for the 2025 draft, Dion said this, Shedeur Sanders, he doesn't want to be the number 2, so he won't declare for the draft until 2026 when he's 24 years old. These student athletes, they can make their own decisions. We'll see what happens. But the Vikings have a prime opportunity. Yes, there are other things to take care of. The players aren't going to solve all the issues. It doesn't matter whether you have a stacked roster. We talked about earlier this week, Kevin O'Connell, you need to delegate offensive coaching duties. And in the case of Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, you need to surround yourself with better football minds. But this is a great opportunity to embrace what's a real horrible situation right now. Whether you are Team Tank or anti-Team Tank, the Vikings, they're a bad football team, but the night is darkest before the dawn. They are setting themselves up for a great opportunity for next year and beyond.